The topic of today that we will be discussing is theories and models of disease causation, right? What are the causes of the disease? So today we will be talking on this. First definition is here is a germ theory, right? So germ theory we will discuss first. It became the popular during 19th century. So this theory I will not focus much. This theory, the aim of this theory is what? Like this theory tell us how the disease is spread. This theory tell us microorganism the only cause of the disease. Like anything. Like for example, this is a microorganism, causative agent. It can cause disease in it will go to the man and cause disease in the person. And this is the only cause that affects the health of a person. So this theory revolves around this concept. Now we go to second theory. Second theory is theory of epidemiological triad. Okay, triad means three. So what this theory tell us now? Let's understand. This model is also called ecological model. Other name of this epidemiological triad is ecological model, and are evolved through the study of infectious diseases. Okay, what this model now tell us? To this model there are three elements or major factor which are responsible for the particular disease causation, right? What are these three factors? Number one is agent, host, and environment. Okay, so I separated them one by one. So there are three things: agent, host, and environment. So these three things will cause a disease in a person. So what is agent now? Now this theory is not yet finished. Now we will dig out this theory. What is agent first? The agent refers to the primary factor without which a particular disease cannot occur, right? So it's a primary factor without which the disease will not occur. So can anyone give me the example what agent can be in you? So agent can be anything, like it can be virus, it can be fungus, it can be anything. So any microorganism can be the agent, or any other factor, any other thing that can cause disease in a person, that is called an agent. So this theory, first thing we now understood, right? Now we need to understand what is the host. Host refer to the human being who come in contact with the agent. Host means someone that keeps this agent. Okay, so this thing with which this agent lives, this is called the host, right? For example, microorganism cause the disease, but host is who? Human being. It can be animal, it can be plant, but here we are talking about the human being. The third thing here is the environment, includes all that is external to the host and agent but may influence interaction between them. So environment is also one of the key factors. So this environment, for example, let's say so here just agent is take is as a something that can cause disease, and the environment, like for example, you live in a clean environment, there will be less germs, so the whole agents are less. So the external to the host but may influence interaction. But if the environment is bad, then what happens, that agents will be most, and in it can affect the host. Okay, the probability of infection will increase here. So this is the triad, the second theory: agent, host, and environment. Any questions still here? The first two theories are over. So let's go to next theory, multifactorial causation theory. Disease caused by multiple factors. This theory just is very simple. It says that disease is not caused by only one factor. For example, is coronary heart disease. So coronary heart disease can be caused by multiple factors, like the lifestyle. For example, someone not exercising, eating lot of food, oily foods, and this kind of all things, obesity, and this all will narrow the coronary artery. And then after that, okay, good. Now we go to the next theory we will discuss together. We'll see it will be like what this theory says, right? Let's see. Web of causation. So this theory demonstrates what? Disease never depend upon single isolated cause. Rather, it developed from the chain of causation in which each link itself as a result of complex interaction of preceding events. These chains of causation, which may be the fraction of whole complex, is known as web of causation. Like in simple words, this theory says that a disease is not just due to one single isolated problem. It can be the chain of causes that will cause damage. It is almost similar like the theory of multifactorial causation theory. So we will not discuss too much on this. Now, what the epidemiological model, that day we have also the first lecture, it's also uploaded there. We have discussed these things very detailedly. Like epidemiology model is composed of four major category of factors: human biology, lifestyle, environment, and health system, right? So these all these factors influence health status positively or negatively, right? So this is very simple to understand. We have already talked a lot. So this four things, this is very very important in the disease cause influence. For example, your lifestyle is good, it means you will prevent lot of diseases. For example, coronary artery disease. Environment is good, pollution is less, you can prevent some diseases like asthma, these kind of allergies and other things. Health system is good, you can early detect some diseases and you can cure these diseases early, right? And then human biology. What is this? Okay, some name problem. Okay, so this, if your biology is good, how you are made, your genetics and these all things included, this will be also affecting like lot of affect your health in a positive or negative ways. So any questions? Let's see here. Human biology. Okay, human biological factors are what? Let's say here epidemiological trade and include genetic inheritance, complex physiological system factor related to maturation and aging. Like these all factors that are genetics, your inheritance, this all things, your metabolism. If all your these things are good, you can prevent the disease, right? Second thing is lifestyle factors. Lifestyle factors include daily living activities like customs, tradition, health habits, and then the last is the environmental factors. Third one, environmental factor include physical, biological, social, and spiritual component. Sometimes some people they do the yoga, prayer, and these things. They can also be like very good to your health because when your mental health is good, automatically your physical health will also be good, right? And healthcare system factor, the fourth point here is include availability, accessibility, adequacy, and then use of healthcare services at all levels. For example, your healthcare service is good, facilities are good. Let's say coronavirus in China. So China, the healthcare system was good, So what happened that they almost controlled these disease because it was good early detection. And then what happened that they quarantine the people, they provide good healthcare system, so a lot of people recovering, and lot of and infection rate is almost going to be zero. So these all things can affect your health positively or negatively. Any question here till here? These theories are clear. Some theories, like what the theories were, is like saying about the disease. Now we see dynamics. Okay, communication communicable diseases are transmitted from reservoir, that is called source of infection, to suspectable host. There are three links in this change of transmission: reservoir, mode of transmission, and suspectable host. So now we will discuss one by one these three things. What are they? Like simple is like that. Disease can be transmitted from the reservoir. Reservoir means something that keeping this like agent. Okay, to the suspectable host, and who is like suspectable there. For example, bat was a reservoir, and suspectable host was who? Human being. So this virus from the bat is transmitted to human. For example, let's say, so it's like this. And how it is transmitted? It is called mode of transmission. Let's now talk one by one these terms. What is now source and reservoir? Source. The source defined as the person, animal, object or substance from which an infectious agent passes or disseminated to the host. Okay, like source is something. It can be person, it can be animal, it can be laboratory, it can be anything from where this virus or infectious or bacterial agent is transmitted to the host. This thing is called source. Now the next thing is reservoir. What is reservoir? A reservoir is any person, animal, arthropod, plant, soil or substrate in which an infectious agent lives and multiplies, on which it depends primarily for survival. That time you were saying like agent can be reservoir, right? Now this is a, here you can see, try to understand this definition. And where it reproduces itself in such manner that it can be transmitted to suspectable host. So the mosquito is what? Is a reservoir or host, or it is an agent? Who will tell me now?
Reservoir.
Okay, good.
It's a reservoir.
Yeah, very good. So the reservoir, it can be principal person, animal or arthropod. So mosquito is what? Is it arthropod? Arthropod. So yes, so plant, soil or anything lives and multiply, and then it is transmitted to the host. For example, in hookworm infection, the reservoir is man and the source of infection is soil contaminated with infected larva. Okay. Or second example, in typhoid fever, the reservoir is a case or carrier and the source of infection is feces or urine of the patient or contaminated food and water. For example, if a typhoid patient, he eats some, like for example, a typhoid person, he drink water somewhere, so, or maybe the water, the contaminated water with urine or his feces. He touches, like for example, he went to the washroom and then he didn't wash his hands, and then he's suffering from typhoid. He come and cook food for you or prepare salad from you. This urine or feces, maybe let's say, is something sticking to his hand, is not much visible. It will contaminate your food and you will get, many people go outside, eat food, and then they come back and after a few days they get typhoid fever. The reason is what? They eat that food in the hotel or anywhere, that food was not clean, right? So then this food, after ingestion of this food, you get the typhoid fever. Okay, so the next we see types of reservoir. Now reservoir, animal reservoir, and reservoir in non-living things. So what is human reservoir? The most important source or reservoir for infection for human is man himself or human itself. Human may be a case or maybe a carrier. Okay. So what is case? The case is defined as a person in the population having the particular disease, health disorder or condition under investigation. This is called a case. We say there are 2 cases reported today, 3 cases reported today. So what is actually definition of a case? This is the definition. A person in the population having the particular disease, health disorder or condition under investigation. Please pay attention to this word, okay? Under investigation. The presence of infection in host may be clinical, subclinical, and latent. Like this. Classification of the carrier types. There are 3 types: incubatory, then there is a convalescent, and healthy. Okay, don't write, just okay. Clinical illness. Clinical illness may be mild, moderate, typical or atypical, severe or fatal. Mild cases may be more important source of infection than severe cases. Okay. Actually, clinical cases are where there is sign and symptoms, right? Like for example, you got for example, pneumonia, you have cough, you have sputum, you have these all things where there is a symptom. But other things you have to remember is they can be mild, they can be moderate, they can be typical. Typical and atypical, let's say like this. For example, I give you one example. Typical mean, for example, I tell you one disease. I tell you, for example, this viral pneumonia. For example, in this viral pneumonia, there will be 102 Fahrenheit fever. There will be white sputum. There will be headache, like this. For example. So I tell you these are the 3 typical features of this disease. If you find these 3 typical features and in the laboratory test, you will find WBC is raised. If you find these 4 features, it means is a typical disease for viral disease, for example. Now sometime what happen that it will be the viral disease, same viral disease, but what will happen that it will not show these symptoms. Like it will not show the white sputum, it will not show the WBC rates, but actually this will be the same viral infection. That time if we diagnosed it, this kind of uh, disease, then we say this disease has shown atypical symptoms. It is not the typical symptom that we used to see normally, right? And then it can be severe or fatal. Mild cases may be more important source of infection than severe, because mild cases the patient will be outside, it will be spreading the disease everywhere. In severe cases he should be in the home or in the hospital, so he's confined to one place, so then the chance of rate of infection will be less. Now subclinical cases. Subclinical cases are also as inapparent missed or abortive cases. These disease agent may multiply in the host, but does not manifest itself by sign and symptoms. Subclinical infection may be detected only by laboratory test. Let's say you had done something and you contacted with HIV. So HIV till 6 years he will be subclinical, he will be not showing any sign and symptom until you do some kind of like DNA, PCRs and these kind of things. Western blot in the early stages. Later you do some PCR and these kind of investigation. Until 5 6 years, even 12 years, you will not have any sign and symptom. So these are the subclinical cases. You will be infecting the people. They will be missed, or like they will be not apparent. So these are the example of subclinical cases. Next is latent infection. Infectious agent lies dormant within the host without symptom. Like here is like he is dormant, he's like dead. He is not causing any harm to you. He is just waiting for good time. So the this like this, okay. So then till these threes are over here. Disease. This is usually occurs during the last few days of incubation period. So yeah, very good. So it's a period of development in which for example, anything that grow. Okay. So this is called the incubation period. So for example, some diseases, measles, mumps, polio, and influenza or hepatitis B is also included in this. Now we go to the other term, convalescent carriers. Carriers which continue to spread disease during the period of convalescence, like for example typhoid, dysentery, cholera, and diphtheria. So even with the period of recovery, they will still able to infect others. And then third is the healthy carriers. They are the victim of subclinical infection who have developed carrier state without suffering from overt disease. A person whose infection remains subclinical may or may not be a carrier. Okay, so this is a healthy person, he has not developed anything. Third is duration, temporary one. Carriers which spread infectious disease for short period of time is very easy. And chronic carriers who spread infectious disease for indefinite period of time. Now the last thing here is portal of exit. There are urinary, intestinal, respiratory, and other like skin eruptions, open wound, bloods, etc. So these all things portals you can you can spread the infection, right? It's also simple. So now we see the reservoir, animal reservoir. The source of infection may sometime be animal or bird. The disease and infection which are transmitted from the man from vertebra are called zoonoses, right? For example, rabies, yellow fever, and influenza. So rabies is transmitted from which thing?
Dogs.
Dogs,
Dogs.
bats, and this all things like birds. They can carry the rabies virus. Can be from birds. It can be from pigs. It can be from this one, right?
Flu.
Yeah. And now reservoir in non-living things. Non-living things are soil and inanimate matter can also act as a reservoir for infection. Now a mode of transmission, source or reservoir, okay, is direct transmission. So direct transmission can occur through droplet contact, droplet infection, contact with the soil, and inoculation into skin or mucosa. So this how direct contact. Infection may be transmitted by direct contact from skin to skin, mucosa to mucosa, or mucosa to skin. This is very easy. All of you know this thing. Like for example, in some STDs, HIVs, AIDS, leprosy, and this all leptospirosis. So this directly can spread through your skin into your body, skin or mucosa, skin and eye infection. Number second is droplet infection. This is the direct projection of a spray of droplet of saliva and nasopharyngeal secretion during coughing, sneezing, talking, or spitting. The droplet spread is usually limited to the distance of 30 to 60 centimeter between source and host. For example, respiratory infection, common cold, tuberculosis, and diphtheria. Uh, like for example, in the beginning when the coronavirus in the China spread it, they even told you not to open the windows, right? Close the windows and something like that. But later, now they let you to ventilate your rooms, and then even you are in a not much crowded places, there is a less chance of getting this air droplet. So the be keep in mind the distance is minimum should be like less than this 30 to 60 centimeter, otherwise it's not easy to infect you. Contact with soil. The disease agent may be acquired by direct exposure to the disease agent in the soil. For example, hookworm, tetanus, mycosis, some fungal infection. And then number 4 is inoculation into the skin. Now through the skin, what happens? Disease may be agent may be inoculated directly into skin and mucosa. For example, rabies virus by dog bite and hepatitis B by contaminated needles, right? So it's easy. Yes. And some disease, you want to ask some question? Okay. So next is transplacental. Disease can be transmitted transplacentally, for example, syphilis, toxoplasma. Okay, and then other infections like AIDS, varicella, hepatitis B, and rabies virus and now we see indirect transmission, vehicle borne. What are the vehicle borne transmission? Transmission of infectious agent through the agency of water, food, raw vegetable, fruits, milks, blood, etc. So this is called the vehicle borne transmission. And then vector borne, classification of vector borne by vector. For example, arthropods, propods like flies, mosquito, cockroach, ticks, mites, bugs, etc. Mice and rodents, these can also be vertebrate or mice, and they spread the diseases. By transmitting chain, man and non-vertebral host, man mosquito, man in malaria, man another vertebral host and a non-vertebral host. This is a chain. For example, by method of vector transmit, biting, scratching. By method number 4 method is the vectors are involved in transmission of parasite. There can be mechanical transmission and biological transmission. So what are the third is airborne. Airborne is droplet nuclei and then dust. And for my okay, for mite borne, for mite are inanimate article or substances other than water or food contaminated by infectious agent. For example, soiled clothes, syringes, instruments. Okay, so these are called fomite-borne infections. They are not by water and food. Other than that, they can cause infection. Like for example, syringes that are infected, or clothes that are soiled and having the infection, and some instruments that can give you the infection. So these are called the fomite-borne infections. Okay. Unclean hands here, lack of personal hygiene favor person-person transmission of infection. For example, I already told you that what was typhoid fever, right? So they can get typhoid or hepatitis A through unclean hands by other people. So they don't wash it. they can spread